मुझे भी नहीं नजर आ रहा था। अभी कंटिन्यू रहेंगे।
हाँ जी, आप वो फिर यह था कि बस भैया म्यूट नहीं होते, खुद पर म्यूट नहीं करते, अगर तो आपने बात नहीं करनी मैं करती।
अभी कर दें, जब जरूरत पड़ेगी फिर कर दीजिए। Start? Okay. So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Today we will, I'm Dr. Kamal from Pathology Department. So, today we will discuss about a new topic, that is bones and joints. And today we will discuss a non-neoplastic lesions of bones and joints. Okay. So, we will discuss one by one. So, beta, first of all, we will discuss about osteomyelitis. The word osteomyelitis stands for the root word osteons means bone and myelo means marrow. When it's combined with itis, inflammation, to define the clinical state in which the bone is infected with the microorganism. So beta, osteomyelitis is an inflammation of a bone that is caused by an infective organism. It may remain localized or it may spread through the bone to involve the bone marrow, cortex, periosteum, and soft tissue surrounding the bone. Okay. So osteomyelitis is an inflammation of a bone that is caused by an infective organism. So beta, now we will discuss about the etiology of osteomyelitis. So any type of organisms can cause a osteomyelitis. The microorganism may reach the bone through the bloodstream or by a direct invasion, like by a skin puncture, operation, or by means of a open fracture. The causative organisms may include the bacteria, the viruses, the fungal organisms. So the most commonest organisms are the non-specific pyogenic organisms are the staph and the strepto. While the specific organisms include tuberculous osteomyelitis, syphilitic osteomyelitis, it may be the typhoid osteomyelitis, or it may include actinomycosis or parasitic infestation. So now the pyogenic osteomyelitis. There are different types of pyogenic osteomyelitis. It's include acute osteomyelitis, chronic osteomyelitis, primary subacute osteomyelitis, and acute flare-up of chronic osteomyelitis. So now basically acute pyogenic osteomyelitis is mainly the root is acute heterogeneous osteomyelitis, and it mostly involves the distal end of the femur and the proximal end of the tibia. The causative, if anyone asked by you about the causative organism of the osteomyelitis, so beta, the most commonest organism responsible for osteomyelitis is Staph aureus. Less likely Streptococcus pyogenes or pneumonia, Haemophilus influenza. This infective organism is commonly seen in young children. Salmonella. The Salmonella organism is responsible in a patient with a sickle cell anemia. So the causative organism for osteomyelitis in sickle cell anemia patient is Salmonella. So beta, this you must know about the organism, and you must know about the organism according to their according to their specificity. Like that, Salmonella is mainly involved the sickle cell patient, while the Haemophilus influenza mainly involve the young children. And the most commonest organism, if anyone asks about the most commonest organism, then it is Staph aureus. Okay. So now the pathology of a osteomyelitis. Beta, actually the initial focus of osteomyelitis is seen in the metaphyseal region of the bone due to a slowing of circulation in a capillary loops of the metaphysis. Infection start in the medullary tissue, resulting in a focus of suppuration and then spread outward to the surface and form a subperiosteal abscess. Busting of this abscess result in a sinus formation. An infection can spread subperiosteally towards the middle of the shaft, raising the periosteum of the bone and also along the medullary canal to the middle of the diaphysis. So better keep it in your mind that today we are discussing a new topic, that is bones and joint. In our bones and joint, today we will discuss about the non-neoplastic lesion, and we are discussing here about the osteomyelitis. Today you must know about the definition of osteomyelitis. Osteomyelitis is basically a inflammation of the bone due to the infection. Infective organism, maybe the bacteria, maybe the viruses, maybe the fungal organism. If anyone asks about the commonest organism, you must know it is the Staph aureus. And in sickle cell anemia, the commonest organism is the Salmonella, while in young children, the Haemophilus influenza. Okay, because now the pathology or the pathogenesis of this is that it mainly involves the metaphyseal region of a bone in a young patient. While after the growth plate closure, it may involve the epiphyseal region. So now the histological features, as we know that we are discussing here about the acute osteomyelitis. So the histological features of acute osteomyelitis include the inflammatory cells, mainly the neutrophilic inflammatory cell, neutrophilic infiltration. Okay, but may show occasional lymphocytes and plasma cells. Osteoclasts burdening the bony trabeculae are destroyed, and trabeculae may lose their viability and begin to undergo a slow resorption. So you must know about that, as we know that the osteomyelitis is an inflammatory lesion. So in acute osteomyelitis, there is mainly a neutrophilic infiltration is seen. The patient of osteomyelitis, the patient with osteomyelitis may present with the symptoms of fever, acute pain, and swelling above or below the knee joint. While on examination, there is a diffuse swelling, warmth, and acute tenderness over the areas of the bone involved. The child unable to move the limb. On palpation, there is a fluctuant abscess. Knee joint may be the swelling. These all are the clinical features of osteomyelitis. Okay. Now, the chronic osteomyelitis. It is nearly always a sequel to acute osteomyelitis, generally secondary to open fracture, bacteremia, or due to a contagious soft tissue infection. Causes includes, as with acute osteomyelitis, the Staphylococcus is the usual causative organism, but the Streptococci, Pneumococci, typhoid bacilli, or other bacteria may be responsible. Okay, so now another pathology, it is commonest in the long bone. It is often confined to one end of the bone, but it may affect the whole length. The bone is thickened and generally denser than normal, though often a honeycomb with granulation tissue, fibrous tissue, or pus. Then there is a formation of sequestration formation. Fragments of dead bone are commonly present within the cavity in the bone. After the first week of the chronic inflammation, after the first week, the chronic inflammatory cells release the cytokines that stimulate the osteoclastic bone resorption in growth of fibrous tissue and then deposition of a new bone at the periphery. The beta, the newly deposited bone can be formed a shell of living tissue known as involucrum. So keep it in your mind that if anyone asks about the morphology of osteomyelitis or are features of osteomyelitis, then you must know that there are two types of osteomyelitis, acute and chronic. In acute osteomyelitis, there is neutrophilic infiltration, while in chronic osteomyelitis, and there is a lymphocytic infiltration, chronic inflammatory cells, along with there is a formation of a sequestrum. Actually, beta, the acute inflammation, whenever there is acute inflammation, then there is a neutrophilic infiltration which causes the necrosis of the bone, and this necrosis of the bone is said to be the sequestration, that bone, necrotic bone. And due to, after the first week, due to the release of a certain cytokines, there is a stimulation of the osteoclastic bone resorption along with the deposition of a new bone formation, which we call the involucrum. Okay, sequestrum is the dead bone, while involucrum is actually the formation of a new bone. So now the body abscesses. These abscesses can be seen in our osteomyelitis. Whenever there is a severe osteomyelitis, then there is a formation of the abscess, intraosseous abscess formation. But if anyone asks about what is body abscess, then you must reply in such a way that whenever there is a severe osteomyelitis, then there is a formation of the intraosseous inside the bone. There is a formation of the abscess inside the bone, which we call the Brody abscesses. And this is a special form of chronic osteomyelitis which arrives insidiously without a preceding acute attack. There is a localized abscesses within the bone, often near the site of the metaphysis. A deep pain is the predominant symptoms. And on imaging, the radiographically, the lesion is seen as a circular or oval cavity surrounded by a zone of a sclerosis. Okay, the rest of the bone is normal. The treatment is by operation. The cavity is de-roofed and the pus is evacuated. So now the complication of osteomyelitis. Beta, this may ask in your RCQ or in your Viva, what are the complications of osteomyelitis? Then the commonest complication is pathological fractures. And the rare complications include amyloid disease as well as squamous cell carcinoma in a sinus tract, in a sinus. So, here we complete our one topic of osteomyelitis. You must know the definition of osteomyelitis. That osteomyelitis is basically inflammation of a bone due to the microorganism. Then we must know about the causative organisms, and then we must know about the pathogenesis and morphology. The morphology includes there is an acute inflammation, there is a neutrophilic infiltration. This neutrophilic infiltration then causes the necrosis, then causes the formation of necrotic bone, dead bone, which we call a sequestration. And then there is, and after a few weeks, there is a release of the cytokines, which causes the formation of a new bone, and which we call the involucrum. Involucrum is basically a formation of a new bone around a dead bone. Okay, then you must know about the complications. Anyone can ask about the complication of osteomyelitis. So complication of osteomyelitis includes pathological fractures, amyloid disease, and rarely the squamous cell carcinoma in the sinus. Okay, this is all about the osteomyelitis. So now, beta, we will discuss our next topic, that is osteoarthritis. Beta, basically osteoarthritis is a non-inflammatory. Okay, it is non-inflammatory degenerative condition of a joint. It's characterized by a degeneration of the articular cartilage and formation of new bone, osteophytes. Okay, so keep it in your mind that what is the definition of osteoarthritis? Osteoarthritis is basically a non-inflammatory condition. It is basically a degenerative disease, okay, in which there is a degeneration of a cartilage, articular cartilage, and there is formation of a new bone. So it commonly involves the weight-bearing joints such as hips and knee joints. It can also seen in a spine and hands. Beta, both male and females are affected by osteoarthritis, but more common in older women above 50 years, particularly in the postmenopausal age. So now the risk factors of osteoarthritis include obesity, especially if the osteoarthritis involves the knee joints, abnormal mechanical loading and instability, beta inherited type 2 collagen defect in premature polyarticular osteoarthritis. Because there are different types of collagen, and the type 2 collagen is mainly responsible for the synthesis of the joints. So whenever there is an inherited defect in type 2 collagen, it may be responsible for the development of a osteoarthritis in a young age. So inheritance in a nodal osteoarthritis, occupation may play a role as like informers, infections like non-gonococcal septic arthritis, heredity, aging process in joint cartilage, defective lubricating mechanism, because the lubricating mechanism of joint like synovial fluid is also responsible for maintain the mobility and maintain the functions of a joint. So whenever there is a defective lubricating mechanism, it may be responsible for the development of osteoarthritis. Then there is an incomplete rotated congenital dislocation of hip. Okay. So now the classification of osteoarthritis. Beta osteoarthritis on the basis of their causes can be divided into primary osteoarthritis and the secondary osteoarthritis. The primary osteoarthritis is more common than the secondary osteoarthritis. The cause of primary osteoarthritis is unknown. It is commonly seen in elderly women when there is no previous pathology. It's mainly due to the wear and tear changes in a joint occur in a old age, mainly in a weight-bearing joints. And beta secondary osteoarthritis is due to any predisposing causes. These causes include injury to the joint, previous infection, maybe rheumatoid arthritis, deformity, obesity, and hyperthyroidism. Okay. So osteoarthritis is a degenerative condition. It's primarily affecting the articular cartilage. Cartilage is the first structure to be affected. Erosions occur often central and frequently in a weight-bearing areas. Fibrillation, which causes softening, splitting, and fragmentation of the cartilage, occur in both weight-bearing and non-weight-bearing areas. With a college, and now I'm telling you the main pathological feature of osteoarthritis is collagen fibers split, and there is a disorganization of the proteoglycan collagen relationship, such as water is attracted into the cartilage, which causes further softening and flaking, and these flakes of cartilage break off and may be impacted between the joint surface, causing locking and inflammation. Okay, so keep it in your mind that what is osteoarthritis? Osteoarthritis is non-inflammatory, degenerative disease of cartilage, especially the articular cartilage. Okay, it mainly involves the women's. There are two types: primary and secondary. Primary unknown cause, secondary may be due to any predisposing cause. And in pathogenesis, it mainly involves the articular cartilage, and there is a collagen fiber, there is a splitting of the collagen fiber, and there is disorganization of the proteoglycan collagen relationship, such as water is attracted into the cartilage. Okay, so on morphology, on gross, the as you can appreciate it, that this is a superior view of the femoral head, which show a complete loss of a cartilage. While on other features includes osteophytes forms, means new bone formation. Osteophytes form at the margin of the articular surface, which make it projected into the joint or into the capsule and ligaments of bone of the weight-bearing joint. Okay, there is alteration in the shapes of the femoral head, which become flat and mushroom shaped. Okay, tibial condyles become flattened. Synovial membrane undergo hypertrophy and become edematous. Okay, and reduction of the synovial fluid secretion result in loss of a nutrition and lubricating action of the articular cartilage. Okay, beta. So this is all about the morphological features of osteoarthritis. So beta, you can also appreciate it in this picture that this is the view of a normal joint. And as you can appreciate it that there is a synovial fluid is present in a joint between the two bones. While in a patient with osteoarthritis, as you can see that there is an absence of a synovial fluid and the both ends of the bones are knit together and there is a eroded cartilage. And in this image, you also appreciated that beta, this is the view of normal, while this is the view of osteoarthritic synovial joint. Okay, you can appreciate it that in you can appreciate it better that in osteoarthritic synovial joint there is irregular thickening and remodeling of the subchondral bone with fibrosis, with cyst formation, with thickening and distortion of the capsule. Okay. So now the clinical features of osteoarthritis. हमने osteomyelitis के clinical features क्या पढ़े थे? Fever की history हो सकती है, pain की हो सकती है, ठीक है? There is edema and swelling of the joints. While the features of osteoarthritis includes pain, stiffness, muscle spasms, restricted movement. It may show deformity. It may show muscle weakness, joint enlargement, crepitation. It may show a joint laxity, asymmetrical joint destruction. It may involve the distal interphalangeal joint, and the patient had a typical clinical findings of advanced osteoarthritis of the distal interphalangeal joints. There is a large firm swellings on the finger, which we call the Heberden's nodes. As you can appreciate it in this picture, that these are the swollen areas. These are basically Heberden's nodes, okay, present on the distal interphalangeal joints. These are tenders and red due to the associated inflammation of the periarticular tissue. Okay, now the investigations of osteoarthritis include blood test that is normal. On radiological features, these features include cartilage loss, subchondral sclerosis, cyst formation, and osteophytes. Okay, these all words like osteophytes, subchondral sclerosis are very specific with osteoarthritis. So now, beta, this is all about osteoarthritis. So now we will discuss about rheumatoid arthritis. Okay. So beta, till now we are able to know about the osteomyelitis and osteoarthritis. Osteomyelitis is inflammation of a bone due to infection. What is the definition of osteomyelitis? Okay, it is actually the inflammation of the bone due to infective organism, while the osteoarthritis is actually a non-inflammatory degenerative diseases of the articular cartilage. Okay, you must know about the causes of osteomyelitis. It includes microorganisms, while you must know about the causes of osteoarthritis. In osteoarthritis, there are two types, primary and secondary. In primary, the causes are known, while in secondary, it includes predisposing factors. Okay, you must know about these predisposing factors. Now we are discussing about the rheumatoid arthritis. But basically, rheumatoid arthritis is a complex condition that is well characterized by chronic inflammation in the synovial membranes of the affected joints, often with systemic manifestation. In rheumatoid arthritis, must keep in your mind that it is a inflammatory condition. Okay, there is involvement of the joints along with systemic manifestation. Okay, it affects approximately 1% of the adult population, and the majority of the patients also have a deterioration of cartilage and bone in the affected joints, which may eventually lead to the permanent disability. So, whether rheumatoid arthritis is associated with increased morbidity and mortality. So now the pathogenesis believes that rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune disease, okay, and it's triggered by the exposure of a genetically susceptible host to an unknown arthriogenic antigen. Activation of a CD4 T cells and lymphocytes and the release of inflammatory mediators and cytokines destroy the joints. The pathogenesis of the disease is basically depends on the nature of the autoimmune reaction, the mediators of the tissue injury, and the genetic susceptibility along with arthriogenic antigen. So, in the pathogenesis of rheumatoid arthritis is frequently asked. So you must know that there in rheumatoid arthritis, there is a activation of a CD4 helper T cells. CD4 T cells and B lymphocytes which produce cytokines and causes the formation of increased immune complex deposition, which and then this complex causes the joint destruction. Okay, there are certain types of cytokines. The most important cytokines are interferon gamma, interleukin 17, in tumor necrotic factors, and interleukin 1. Okay. Rheumatoid arthritis is characterized by synovitis with thickening of the synovial lining and beta infiltration by the inflammatory cells. Okay, then the synovium proliferate and growth out over the surface of the cartilage and causes the formation of pannus. pannus destroy the articular cartilage. As you can appreciate in this, there is a pannus formation. There is a outgrowth. Okay, there is outgrowth. So the onset of rheumatoid arthritis, although rheumatoid arthritis may present at any age, but patients most commonly are first affected in the third to sixth decades. Female to male ratio is 3:1. Rheumatoid arthritis is more commonly, 3 times more commonly seen in a female. Initial pattern of joint involvements may be the polyarticular, may be the oligoarticular, may be monoarticular, and the morning joint stiffness is very characteristic features of rheumatoid arthritis. Small joints of hands and feet are typically involved. So beta, as far as clinical features of rheumatoid arthritis are concerned, there is progressive destruction of the joints and soft tissue, chronic irreversible deformities. There is a subluxation of the metacarpophalangeal joint, which may cause the ulnar deviation. Beta, there may be the hyperextension of the proximal interphalangeal and flexion of the distal interphalangeal joint, which cause the swan neck appearance. And there is a flexion of the proximal interphalangeal joint, which may cause the Botnier deformity. Okay, so you must know about all these names because anyone can ask about the clinical features of the rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, so as you can appreciate in this picture data, that this is the abnormality of the thumb, which we call a Botnier deformity, and in this there is a ulnar deviation of the metacarpophalangeal joints, and there is a, as you can appreciate it there is a swan neck deformity of the fingers. As you can appreciate it that these are the rheumatoid nodules. Okay, these are the rheumatoid nodules. As we know that the rheumatoid arthritis is associated with systemic manifestation. So beta extra-articular manifestations can be seen like fatigue, subcutaneous nodule, lung involvement, pericarditis, peripheral neuropathy, vasculitis, methodological abnormalities. These are the common extra-articular features of rheumatoid arthritis. Okay. So now the laboratory investigation. Beta, this is very, very important. Anyone can ask about the laboratory investigation of rheumatoid arthritis. It includes CPC, acute phase reactant like ESR and C-reactive protein, rheumatoid factors, RF factor, anti-CCP, anti-citrullinated peptide antibody is most specific. So beta rheumatoid factor is basically antibodies that recognize the FC portion of IgG. 85% of patients with rheumatoid arthritis over the first 2 years become RF positive. Okay, and the prognostic value of rheumatoid arthritis is patient with high titer of RF in general tend to have a poor prognosis and more chances of extra-articular manifestation. Okay, and serum anti-CCP antibodies is has about the same sensitivity as the serum rheumatoid factor. So beta, keep it in your mind that what is rheumatoid arthritis? Rheumatoid arthritis is basically an autoimmune disease, okay? And there is an inflammation of the joints, okay? And it is more commonly seen in a female, okay? And as far as it is most, the pathogenesis is due to the activation of autoantibodies, which and there is a role of a CD4 T cells and B cells, and these cells causes the release of the cytokines like interferons, human necrotic factors, interleukin 1 and 17s, and these cytokines then causes the formation of a pannus, which causes the growth of a synovial membrane, synovial hypertrophy. Okay, and as far as the lab investigations are concerned, it includes CBC, acute phase reactant, rheumatoid factors, and the citrullinated peptide antibodies. It is very specific with the rheumatoid arthritis. Okay. So in RF factors and anti-CCP antibodies. You must know about these two names, especially these two names in the investigation of a rheumatoid arthritis. So beta, as far as the morphology is concerned, in gross, the rheumatoid arthritis shows joints have edematous, thick and hyperplastic synovium, while on microscopy there is a beta dense lymphocytic infiltration. There is a dense perivascular inflammatory infiltrate of T lymphocyte. As we know that it is an autoimmune disease, so antibodies are formed, and these microscopically we see a dense lymphocytic infiltration along with germinal center formation, and there is a proliferative synovitis with synovial cell hyperplasia and hypertrophy, organizing fibrin floating, and there is a formation of a erosion, osteoporosis, venous formation with progressing to fibrous ankylosis and then ossified to form a bony ankylosis. Okay, you must know about these microscopic features. If anyone asks about what are the microscopic features of rheumatoid arthritis, then you must know that in a rheumatoid arthritis is characterized by dense perivascular inflammatory infiltrate comprising of T lymphocyte, plasma cells, macrophages, and there is a synovial cell hyperplasia and hypertrophy. Then there is maybe the formation of germinal centers. There is fibrin floating in a joint, and there is a pannus formation. And as you can appreciate it better in this picture that there is a dense lymphocytic infiltration along with germinal centers. Here you can also see that there is a dense lymphocytic infiltration. Beta, in a skin, there is a formation of a rheumatoid nodules in 25% of cases, and usually those with severe disease in the skin subject to pressure. Ulnar forearm, elbows, lumbosacral areas are also present in viscera. Okay, and it is characterized as central. Beta rheumatoid nodule is characterized by central fibrinoid necrosis surrounded by palisading epithelioid histiocytes, lymphocytes, and plasmacytes. Okay. And as we already know that rheumatoid arthritis may involve the blood vessels. This is the microscopic image of rheumatoid nodule. As you can appreciate it that this is the central necrosis, fibrinoid necrosis surrounded by the palisading histiocytes, lymphocytes. Okay. So this is all about the rheumatoid arthritis. So beta, I repeat again, till yet we are able to know about the osteomyelitis, osteoarthritis, and rheumatoid arthritis. Osteomyelitis is inflammation of a bone due to the microorganism. You must know about the microorganism, okay, and you must know about the pathogenesis, especially the word sequestration and involucrum. Sequestration is a dead bone, and involucrum is actually the formation of a newly bone, okay, around the dead bone. So then about body abscess. Then we must know about what is osteoarthritis. It is basically a non-inflammatory degenerative disease. Okay, and then the types primary and secondary, and then we must know about the rheumatoid arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis is basically beta autoimmune disease. Okay, autoimmune disease in which there is a CD4 T cells play an important role for formation of the formation of the autoantibodies. And then there is in a rheumatoid arthritis there is a raised rheumatoid factor RF factor along with anti-CCP. And then there is a microscopy of rheumatoid arthritis is important. There is a dense lymphocytic infiltration with formation of germinal centers, synovial cell hyperplasia. Okay, and no doubt the clinical features of rheumatoid arthritis are very important, like swan-like appearance, Botnier deformity, okay, and rheumatoid nodules. Okay. Now, beta, we discuss about the gout. Beta, gout is basically a crystal arthritis in which there is a deposition of a uric acid crystals in a joint. It presents with acute monoarticular arthritis in 90% of the patient. Okay, men's are commonly involved in women, and onset is mostly seen in 40 to 60 years of age. It is very treatable, and untreatable cases may lead to the chronic tophaceous gout. So basically, beta, in a uric acid metabolism, actually the nucleic acid is responsible for the formation of a uric acid. As you know that there is a breakdown of a nucleic acid and there is a formation of uric acid, and then this uric acid is excreted by the kidney. But whenever there are two types of a gout, maybe the primary and secondary. So beta, it may be due to the increased breakdown of increased turn of a nucleic acid, or due to a defect in the excretion of a kidney is responsible for increased level of a uric acid. So investigations include joint aspiration, which shows mostly in a polarized light, it shows a needle crystals. There is a raised ESR, WBC, and the serum urate level is very high. And basically, in a chronic tophaceous gout, there is a tophi formation, uric acid tophi. Okay, as beta, this is the image of tophi, as you can appreciate it there. And microscopically, you can see the tophi. There is a large aggregate of crystals, granulomatous inflammation. Okay, gout crystals can be seen, but these are the long, slender needle shape, but difficult to visualize in a routine staining because they dissolve during formalin processing. Beta, you can appreciate it that this is the image of gout. Okay, this is the image of uric acid tophi. These are the tophi. Okay, this is all about today's lecture. Okay, thank you, Beta. If you have any query, you can ask in your WhatsApp group or anytime. Thank you. लेक्चर तो अभी पूरा हुआ है ना, 50 पे ही था ना, आपने तो आवाज लगाई मुझे। चल रहा है बेटा?
2 मिनट है।
अच्छा, मैंने भगा भगा के किया। चलिए
मैं आपसे कहा
बेटा, इफ यू हैव एनी क्वेरी देन यू कैन आस्क।
5 मिनट है।
आप इसको कर दें, अनम्यूट कर दें।
अनम्यूट तो
बेटा प्लीज रेज योर हैंड इफ यू हैव एनी क्वेरी। ओके बेटा, थैंक यू।